Hello, my name is Lauren and welcome to the Theoretical YouTube channel, where the only thing that gets us up in the morning is the hope for new Frozen trailers. Okay, but actually I'm not sure if I can stress this enough. We are really excited for Frozen 2. Like, you know that feeling on Christmas Eve where you can't fall asleep because you're so excited for the next morning? That has happened to me more than once because of this movie. And we're still like 2 months away from the premiere. What is happening to me? Well, I don't know how much more you need in this intro. Let's just say that we like Frozen, we love to do trailers, and these are our thoughts before the movie comes out. Easy enough. Roll intro. Okay, first of all, you may have noticed this isn't a theory. And before you accuse us of false advertising on a YouTube channel literally called the Theoretical YouTube channel, well, actually, you'd have a point, but honestly, I'm sure you could find someone better to sue in court. Anyway, today I just wanted to talk about Frozen 2 and what I genuinely think about the upcoming movie. Sure, obviously we have some mini theories, but honestly, I'm not totally sure about anything circulating the internet. Except that these two characters are young Agnar and Aduna. I called that after the first trailer dropped in February. So to everyone who argued to me that this girl looks nothing like Elsa and Anna's mom, well, who's too invested in a Disney movie now? Wait. So let's put theories and predictions aside for now and just appreciate how beautiful this movie looks. Because think about it, Pixar's been making some beautiful CGI films for years now and getting all the praise for it. But what's the best looking Disney film in the last decade? I guess my vote's on Moana, but if Frozen 2 looks anything like it's being advertised, it's going to be incredible. Seriously though, every new scene and set piece that they've revealed looks genuinely captivating. They're expanding this world of magic and color that's clearly full of effort and talented creators. Like, this shot of the water looks legitimately live action. And if the whole movie can pull stuff like this off, well, it's gonna be a far cry from the Disney sequels of old. So gone are the days of Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, which is terrible, and should be avoided like the plague that killed Belle's mom in the live-action Beauty and the Beast, which was also pretty bad. But that brings me to a very important point. Disney sequels were never very good, but they often weren't supposed to be. I mean, like 80% of them were straight to DVD stuff that was used as training materials for new animators before they got to the real projects. And I'm not even joking, that was 100% true. Before 2018, the last Disney animation sequel that had a theatrical release was in 1990 with The Rescuers Down Under. Everything else went straight to DVD or VCR. VCR. But Disney broke their almost 30-year streak last year with the release of Wreck-It Ralph 2. And it was actually pretty good. I mean, it wasn't the best Disney film, heck, I don't even think it was better than the first one, but it clearly had effort behind it that just wasn't there with some of the older sequels. Not even the creators cared about Pocahontas 2. You didn't even know there was a Pocahontas 2, did you? And while Wreck-It Ralph had its audience, Frozen is a whole nother ballgame. There's so much pressure riding on this movie. Things are shifting around in the Disney animation department. They've got a new boss, a few canceled projects, and up until like last month, they hadn't even announced their next movie. Frozen 2 needs to be a success for Disney Animation because lately, they've been relegated to the back of the company. With such a hyper focus on pushing out more live-action remakes and building up the Marvel and Star Wars franchises, and Pixar still there to fill in the gaps, the last completely original Disney animated film was back in 2016 with Moana. That was 3 years ago. Disney Animation is kind of being threatened right now by competing companies like DreamWorks, Illumination, and Sony, but also by their parent company. All that combined with having to fire the head of the department is a recipe for, at the very least, change. But against all odds, I actually think Frozen is still in good hands, which brings me to one of my new favorite people to talk about. Jennifer Lee, the writer and co-director of Frozen and the newly instated head of the Disney Animation department after John Lasseter left. Jennifer Lee, unlike this random guy, is probably one of the most influential Disney executive in the last few years. With her directorial debut on the movie Frozen, she became the first woman ever to have a director credit on a Disney animation film, which she shared with this guy. But seriously, can you imagine your first movie ever turning out to be Frozen? Either it's luck or pure genius. There is no in between. She also wrote the screenplay for Wreck-It Ralph a year previously and went on to write Zootopia and A Wrinkle in Time, one of which is great while the other is bleh. But that's mostly the acting. Anyway, just 5 years after directing her first movie, she's now appointed the head of the department and gonna start her reign with the sequel to one of the highest grossing animated films ever, Frozen. Now, there are some films that I want to be good and some that I expect to be good. For instance, while I really did hope the best for the 2019 Lion King, I also wasn't kidding myself. I knew what I was paying for. But I have such incredibly high expectations for this film. I mean, it's the follow-up to one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. The directors are the same, the writer is the same, all the actors are returning, they even still have the Anderson-Lopez couple doing the soundtrack. By all means, they're trying to replicate the success of the original recipe with all the same ingredients. And I was skeptical for a long time. I mean, that's a lot of baggage that comes with just the name Frozen 2. You've got one camp that won't believe any addition could be an improvement to the original, the ones who think that Frozen shouldn't be touched. But then there's an even larger group of people who now hate the first film and can't stand the thought of hearing Let It Go again. And a lot of that comes from how overexposed people became to the first film's success. It was inescapable. I've mentioned before that my sister ruined the movie Up for me by watching it multiple times a day, every day, for an entire year. Too much of a movie, even if it's pretty good, is going to drive a casual fan away. People who thought that Frozen was fine, and even some who considered it good, just got sick of seeing it everywhere. And when the 2 shorts that we got while waiting for the sequel were underwhelming, it really tainted the brand of Frozen, causing many people to think that the first film's success was a fluke, that Disney is trying to milk this cash cow to death, or more likely, both. Even me, who loves the first Frozen to this day, was like, really, Disney? Can't we get a new movie already? But my entire opinion changed when that first trailer dropped back in February. And I think Disney is doing a couple of really smart advertising things here. First of all, they know their audience. Most of the people who were overexposed to Frozen the first time were the parents of young kids who were forced to watch the movie, sing the songs, and buy the merchandise over and over again. But there's something really interesting about the tone of the teaser. Let's see if you can spot it. Let me show a clip from the first ever Frozen teaser from, like, back in 2012.
Ooh, hello.
And here's our first look at Frozen 2. It's like night and day. What Disney is doing really cleverly, either with their advertising or hopefully the whole movie, is adapting it for an older audience. Because those 8-year-old superfans from 2013 don't want just another Frozen. They're too old for a retread. With this action genre, imagery, and style, they're reassuring their audience that these characters that they loved when they were little have grown up too. And hopefully the storytelling is just as next level for this new batch of critical thinkers. It's promising something more than just another little kids film. But now that we have pretty much our final preview before the film comes out, I think there's another layer to this advertising as well. Because the last trailer was weird, right? I mean, it seemed sloppier or less smooth than the typical Disney style. For instance, the shots were shorter and jumped around a lot, and the dialogue was weird. Most of it was clearly lifted from other parts of the movie and played over unrelated scenes.
How did you get in the forest?
The mist parted for us.
Impossible. Where did you learn magic?
The characters on screen are rarely delivering the lines that we hear. It's mostly voiceover stuff. To me, it seems like Disney's hiding something through their editing. Sure, they're still showing off their cool animation and giving us the basic outline of a central conflict, but what the heck is this movie gonna be about? At least in the first one, even if we didn't have the details, we knew that this character was gonna freeze the kingdom, and this one was gonna try to undo it. Pretty basic, right? But here, we have no clue how any of these pieces are gonna fit together. Why is Elsa being called into a magical forest? Who are these warring factions in the magical forest? Can this girl do magic, or is she just interacting with a magical forest? What are these crystal things? Where did these reindeer come from? What the heck does this beach scene have to do with anything? Overall, these cryptic trailers, clearly hiding something but promising a mystical adventure, really reminds me of another controversial Disney advertising campaign. That being the trailers for the Pixar movie, Brave. People had a lot of problems with Brave, or at least how it was advertised as a mysterious and spiritual quest film.
Born of our legends. And when we are put to the test, it is the one thing we must always be.
It got people really hyped about folklore and mysticism, and then turned out to be about a girl's mom turning into a bear. Which is a fine idea for a movie. I actually really liked it, but many people felt misled by trailers that never even addressed the actual plot of the movie. It was a letdown for people who expected a big epic adventure and ended up with a family drama with bears. So where does that leave Frozen 2? After all, it's hard not to compare these similar advertising techniques.
The ancients spoke of it.
As north as we can go.
Of our legends.
But be careful.
Is this just Disney trying to appear more grown up in order to attract older kids back into the theater? Or are they going to actually follow through and make something that expands the world that we thought we already knew? I really hope it's the second one, but honestly, I have a hard time convincing myself that Disney could improve on Frozen. They like to play it safe, and no matter what, this movie's gonna make money, so why risk it when they can just make another average sequel? Then again, this creative team is clearly talented and in the position to start a new age of Disney animation. I guess the real question here is whether or not this is the end of an era or the beginning. Of what? Well, whatever comes next.
Wait, hold on. We missed our opportunity to make our prediction about Agnar and Aduna, and you're gonna make a whole nother video without mentioning a single other prediction? Well, not if I have anything to say about it. So here's a brief summary of our predictions for Frozen 2. Okay, first and probably most obvious, magic has something to do with the 4 elements. Elsa uses ice/water magic, the giants are literally made of earth, the fire almost definitely comes from that little salamander thing, and the wind is probably the big thing that they're trying to hide from us in the trailers. And that salamander is definitely the fire, because the color scheme matches up, and when you actually look at the fire, it looks like a small animal jumping from tree to tree. There's also one other thing about salamanders that it seems like everyone else either doesn't know or doesn't remember, but it's like the only thing I know about salamanders. In a lot of myths and folklore, salamanders are able to walk through fire without getting injured. So with things like Crimes of Grindelwald coming out with a main character named Newt Scamander, salamanders playing an important role in the movie, and the characters walk through fire in the end, it seems pretty relevant. And now when there's something jumping around setting things on fire and there's a salamander in the movie, they seem related. Second, Kristoff is probably from the Northuldra, since he's an orphan and we don't really know his backstory yet, and the Northuldra have a particular affinity for reindeer. And, you know, Sven exists. And finally, our most ambitious prediction, the lore of the story. Okay, so based on the second trailer, we can see that there used to be a magical utopia in the north, but war broke out, and all of a sudden, the magic started to attack them, and they were then closed off from the outside world forever. We think that there are basically 2 options for why the magic attacked. First, it could be that the fighting physically made the magic more aggressive, just like how the first Frozen highlighted that emotions like love could have a massive effect on magic. Second, the magic might have just not liked the fighting, so it separated the warring factions with a magical wall of fog that neither side could cross. But now, for some reason, the magic has attacked Arendelle.
Head for the cliffs!
We also think that there are two reasons this could be happening. Either Arendelle really messed up and the magic is just doing what it did in the north, or it recognizes that Elsa has magic and is just trying to reunite her with the rest of the magical world.
Don't you know there's part of me that loves to go?
We think that the second option makes a lot of sense, especially since Elsa's big song in this movie is called Into the Unknown, which sounds a lot like Elsa being called to the unknown, or the north.
Into the unknown. Into the unknown.
Okay, so that is all of the predictions that you didn't put into this video, so you're welcome. Carry on with your outro.
Anyway, hey, did you like this video? And what do you think of Frozen 2? Are you excited, or are you still burnt out from hearing Let It Go 6 million times? Even if it was 6 years ago.
Let it go.
To share your thoughts, all you have to do is leave a comment in the section right here, and while you're down there, you can also subscribe to this channel if you'd like to and you haven't already. You can also follow us on Twitter at Theory_Central to keep up on channel news and random thoughts. Speaking of random thoughts, what about the style of this video? It's a little different not having a theory to wrap our thoughts around, but honestly, it was kind of refreshing. Be sure to let us know if this is the kind of thing you'd like to see more of in the future. So thanks for watching. Frozen 2 is gonna be awesome. Don't let me regret saying that. And we'll see you later.